Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm so excited about my guest today, how he's going to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you far beyond what you're going to believe. I'm so fired up right now. Can you hear my voice? Because just listening and talking to him. And audience, today, here's your homework. How are you going to go and serve yourself and others today? What impact will you create today? Today's the key word. Let's do it today. And I want to thank my incredible sponsor, Pantheon. Join a community of thought leaders who want to change and impact the world and each other. There'll be a link in the show notes. You can be able to jump right into that or ask me any questions about that. So my guest today, I've only spent 10 minutes. We've really bonded and connected. He is in a wheelchair. He is a quadriplegic, but as I told him from the bottom of my heart, he is so grateful, so happy and positive. I have no more excuses. When life gives me a bad turn, I'm just going to think of my guest, and you're going to see why here. Let's welcome to the show. Robert, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Steve, thank you so much for having me. I got a grin going ear to ear. I can't wait for this.
Well, a servant's heart's, I don't want to say easy, but shouldn't be as difficult for a guy like me that's able-bodied. We're going to be very transparent here, and I love that. You're in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
You're disabled, disability.
Yeah.
But you're serving probably more than I am. Why?
It's because it's how I needed to find purpose in my life. So just to kind of give the cliff notes of how this even occurred, I was competing in the Collegiate Rugby National Championship for UC Berkeley. We're going for our 31st national championship in about 45 years. So I think the only team that has more success in that program is the Harlem Globetrotters, and their games are rigged. So we're doing okay. And here I am, I'm starting on the team, national championship, like my dreams are coming alive. And it's in this match, about a minute and a half into the game, that this opposing player makes an illegal move. He essentially binds my head in a headlock, drives me down to the turf by my skull. My head makes impact to the ground and my body keeps going forward. My forehead slammed against my chest, and immediately I lost all motion and feeling from about my collarbone down. So totally clear and conscious. I never lost consciousness for a second, but completely paralyzed and numb from that collarbone down region. Doctor doesn't make it any better. He says, Robert, you're never going to walk again. You're never going to move your hands. We're going to do our best so that one day you can do something like pick up a piece of pizza and bring it to your face. And if you can just feed yourself, you beat all the odds. And in that, I lost my purpose. My purpose was being the best athlete that I could possibly be. I woke up and I was just thinking, how can I get better? How can I be more of an expert at this sport? And then in one day, because of something I absolutely couldn't control, it was gone. And I needed something to replace that. And how it all started was I started up a GoFundMe page to start paying for my rehabilitation expenses. As you can imagine, breaking your neck is not a good financial decision. We needed help. So what my best friend's mom did is she set up this GoFundMe page, and we were sharing a lot of updates about how I was doing, how I was progressing. And in that, I have people confiding in me incredible difficulties. Robert, I'm battling stage 4 cancer. I just lost a son or daughter. People who are going through really terrible situations telling me how by me taking on this challenge and sharing it with them, it was giving them faith, hope, perseverance. And I saw that it's through this injury and weakness that I've really developed my greatest strength, and that's helping others overcome their challenges. So I've needed this purpose just as we all do to be able to serve others. And it's incredible how it's actually been heightened through this journey of quadriplegia.
It's powerful as you're talking, and we talked before the show in the green room is, if I lose a sale tomorrow, I used to do this, go, oh, my life's over.
Yeah.
Then I listen to you and we talk. I'm like, it's just a sale. Let's move on. Hey,
Yeah.
I got in an accident. I mean, a sporting injury. Okay. What can I do to change that?
Right.
What a great lesson. Real quick, before we dive more into you, would you go back and play this sport again at what you know today?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah, if I woke up tomorrow and I was able-bodied, I'd be looking for someone to tackle. Like
Yeah.
I loved the game of rugby. And what's really important to point out is that what happened to me wasn't rugby. It was completely against the rules. You cannot drag people to the ground by their neck. The call was missed. It just wasn't made. And worse, the player did it. And I mean, I actively encourage people to start playing rugby. God willing, if I have kids one day, I'll be supporting them to go into the sport. I'd love to coach. It's just such a wonderful game, and it gave me so much more than it took away.
Yeah. I'm so glad, Robert. You're just a huge blessing.
Mm,
So, what do you say? Because I hear this all the time. I'm a big sports guy. I played a lot of
yeah,
sports myself. Junior college, it doesn't matter. And I think sports and business are such a great parallel.
yeah,
What do you tell that parent? Because, quick story, my wife came to me and said, my son wants to play football. It's not my,
mhm,
it's my stepson. And I said, I loved it. He should play. And he was
yeah.
super successful. He did get injured, broke a collarbone, not like you, but still. But they were so happy because the excitement as he was playing. What do you
Mhm.
tell somebody comes to you with that question like, hey, I don't want my kids to play, especially football or rugby or hockey, these very, tough sports.
Yeah. So at first, I think it's just understanding, like, I'll be honest with you, these contact sports have higher inherent risk in them. There is no way around that. And people like to talk about studies and stuff like that, where, oh no, helmets are getting a lot better. And in rugby, like, we use a different tackling form where a head's not in front when we tackle because you're totally exposed. If you take a knee to the noggin, you're seeing stars. So we really stress our technique in tackling. But don't get me wrong, they're all high injury sports, but it's in that risk that I really found that I was more connected to my teammates and that I was building these principles and sensibilities within me that I didn't have when I was playing baseball or basketball or stuff like that. I mean, you got to think of like when you're in that locker room and you're like, I'm going to go compete in this rugby match. It's going to be 80 minutes of full contact, continuous play. And when you got a 300-pound ball carrier right in front of you with their shoulder down, it's gonna hurt. And you put yourself in that mindset, you just feel so much ready to take on anything else in life. Honestly, I haven't found anything that like just replaced that feeling where you're like singularly in the moment, like a contact sport like that. And my bonds with my teammates are just so much deeper. I think there are injuries that can happen. The catastrophic ones that have happened to me, those are just so far and few between. We're more likely to have that happen while we're just driving to practice. You can't live that way. But the intangibles that you get out of those sports, they don't just serve you on the field, they serve you everywhere in your life.
Yeah. Let's dive a little deeper into the message
Yeah.
because you mentioned your teammates a couple of times.
Hmm.
How much were they your support, your community to help you get past this? Because I know your not parents, but your players don't just go, "Oh, Robert's hurt," and walk away. I'm sure a
Yeah.
number of them came to your aid. Talk about that.
So many, and they continue to. So the first day out of the after my injury was when I really, I got to see them first, and they all came back from Berkeley to Santa Clara where I had my injury, and they're in the lobby, and it's pretty somber in that room. It's like they're getting ready to go to a funeral. And my mom comes over to them and she tells them, "You are not allowed to cry when you go see Robert. You need to get it together and you need to start giving him that positivity because he needs that right now." Thank goodness my mom did that. That really helped. But I helped it out too because so when I was in that room, I talk about this in my book, like just how important it is to maintain your sense of humor. My first two buddies come into the room, Tyler Douglas and Chase Bixby. Tyler Douglas's mom is the one who started up that GoFundMe page. And I really wanted to get into the business school at that time, right before my injury, to go into Cal, and Tyler just had. And it's a really rigorous application. You got to have a great GPA, you write essays, interviews, stuff like that. And when Tyler came in, here I am, paralyzed, like I can't move, things are looking really bad. And I'm like, Tyler, I am going to be able to write a heck of an application essay now. Like, this is going to be the essay to end all essays with this injury. And like, we're just like bursting out laughing. We're having a great time. So I think I needed to lean on them in a lot of ways, but they were able to lean on me as well because I always maintained that sense of who I was. I could still just be a guy with my friends, joking around, having a good time. But they just kept with me through that whole period. They would travel over to Colorado to see me when I started doing my rehab there. When I came back to Cal, for the listeners who haven't been to Berkeley or San Francisco, you got to know it's hills for days. I mean, they make movies out of these things. And I could have been like the Lance Armstrong of wheelchair pushing. I needed help to get through these hills. So what my rugby teammates did is they put together my entire schedule on a live updating spreadsheet. So all my classes, all my workouts, where I needed to go, when I needed to be there, and they would push me through the hills of Berkeley to help me get to campus. So I really wouldn't have graduated if it weren't for my rugby team. And I think it's just so important to like seek community, have teammates, don't try to go it alone. Just a really poignant lesson and like just strong teams and the power that comes in community.
That's a powerful message about community, because I think
Yeah.
we humans, we can't do it alone. COVID
No.
obviously taught us that we can't be alone. Audience, write that down. Keep that in mind when you're doing business or working in your company. Open up to people. Be part.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but I'm sure not every teammate, but the guys that like Tyler that were there, that's all it takes. It takes a little tribe to make things go forward. The other part of your story is very interesting. I've had a number of guys that have been injured either in sports or after sports, like you in a wheelchair. You mentioned forgiveness. Talk about that story about how you got hurt, forgiveness, and all that.
Yeah, that was probably the most difficult emotional challenge that I went through this entire journey. Because as I mentioned, what happened to me was completely illegal. And we had photos from multiple angles, videos clearly showing that I was wrenched illegally by my neck to the ground. And that's what caused my paralysis. And when I first heard that news, I was filled with a rage that I can't even describe. I mean, think here I am laying in a hospital bed, 20 years old, can't move or feel anything below my collarbone. I can't feed myself. I actually couldn't swallow at all. So I lost 60 pounds in a month, 2 pounds a day. I had pneumonia, but I couldn't cough. My diaphragm was paralyzed. So I had people essentially doing chest compressions on me, basically around the clock to keep me breathing and getting this mucus out of my lungs.
Holy cow.
My doctors told me I might not even survive. I couldn't itch my nose and I couldn't wipe my tears when I cried. And all of that was not because I did something stupid. And it wasn't even just an accident. Someone did something to me. Now, do I think he tried to break my neck? No, absolutely not. But did he bring that maul down by my neck? Yeah, he did. And as I was swimming in those thoughts, I had to go right back to my faith. So my faith is very important to me. And I was taught in every situation to forgive others, regardless of the wrongdoing and regardless of how bad I feel. And it felt kind of like a test in that moment. Okay, how am I gonna respond? And I decided right away to say that I forgave this person, regardless of what I felt internally. So it was totally a fake it till you make it kind of thing. And people would ask me, Robert, what do you think about this guy? What's your take? And I would say, I forgive him and I wish him well, regardless of how I felt. And it wasn't some flip of the switch thing, like I just said those words and then miraculously I'm at peace in my life. No, you can't release that kind of hatred by just saying a few words. But what it did allow me to do is let time start running its course. So rather than spewing out words of hatred and really ruminating on all those negative thoughts about what this person did to me and adding fuel to that fire, I was allowing time to slowly let those emotions go down to where here I am today, completely freed from all of that because I just focused on what I could control and I stayed on that path of forgiveness. So it gave me some time to reflect that Forgiveness is not about just removing guilt from someone who does wrong to us. It's really more so, I think, about removing those negative attachments from the person who was wronged. Forgiveness is really something that we should do for ourselves. And in the end of the day, rage doesn't do anything for us. And these people will go off, they'll live their lives, and they'll just keep moving forward. It does nothing for us to just sit in those feelings of hatred. In fact, it does more than nothing, it does harm to us. So there's not a lot of generalities in life that I think just always applies. But forgiveness is certainly one of those generalities. I just can't think of a single situation where we should ever choose not to forgive.
You're a true servant's heart,
Thank
because
you.
I know people listening going, and if a number of guests, they've gone through a lot, but still are grateful and forgiving
Yeah.
and moving on. What a mental health tool.
Mhm.
Sounds like it changed your life, just making that decision and following through on forgiving this person
It
for what
totally did.
happened.
It,
Yeah.
it, it, it stemmed from there too, where just learning to let go of the things that I can't control. Because I can't control what happened to me. And there are so many challenges I continue to deal with to this day. But it's really building up this muscle of not letting those things I can't control me. I think that's a
Yeah.
really good way to view it. If I can't control a situation, I'm not going to let it control me, and let me at least control my words. I might not be able to control my thoughts all the time, but if I can really give influence to what I think by what I say over time, that's something that I really had to develop.
An audience, I'm going to put this out there. I just had a thought while you were talking,
Mm,
Robert, and this is doing business and life with a servant's heart. But,
yeah.
businesses, if you have a business, all this that he's talking about can relate to your business, your community, your forgiveness, your resilience, all that. That's why I was so excited. And he was excited to meet me because this carries over. And
Yeah.
that leads me to, you've become a resilience expert, which is, I think, needed more now today than 10 years ago,
Mhm.
5 years ago. And you're a motivational speaker. So when you're an expert at that, what do you do? And talk to us on the journey of your speaking. What are you trying to accomplish? And what are we going to hear when you speak to us?
Yeah, so I'm really focused now on a lifelong journey in helping people identify and overcome what paralyzes them. So for me, a lot of physical paralysis I deal with. I am a C5-6 spinal cord injury patient. You look at me, you can just see a person who goes through a lot every day, but there's mental paralysis, emotional paralysis, organizational paralysis. Think anxiety, grief, doubt, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, burnout, all these things can paralyze. So now what I do is I share my story, but really more importantly, the tools that have helped me in overcoming this paralysis. And I do that in my speeches, I do that in my book, just going really in depth. And what it's done for me is just illuminated the purpose of my life, that this injury took a lot away from me. My life is completely different now, but it gave me this one thing, and that is this ability to help people overcome what's challenging them. And I'll tell you what, like the moment where all of it changed for me, because I remember it and I draw back to it often. But to lay some groundwork first, I used to coach youth rugby camps over at Jesuit high school where I learned to play rugby. When I was over at Cal, I'd come back in the summers. And the age range was like 10 to 14 years old. And there was this one camper there whose name was Talon. And like he was one of the smaller kids on the field, but he played with heart. He's kind of like a Rudy type, and everyone roots for someone like that, right? And I would give him the ball and pick him up so he could go score. So like imagine me, 6'5" D1 athlete, like bobbing and weaving in between 10-year-olds. I'm putting a stiff Heisman on little Jimmy so Talon can have his moment. And like we shared this real bond. And then fast forward to my injury. It's about 5 days later. I'm in the hospital, and my high school is hosting a prayer service for me to pray for my healing and my strength. And my dad shows me this picture on his phone of someone who I can't recognize, but he is obviously fighting for his life. Hair is white and thin, body is just skin and bones, skin is very pale. And my dad tells me that this kid is Talon, and Talon was fighting stage 4 cancer. And it was a part of this picture that his mom wrote a caption, and it read along the lines of Talon wanted so badly to be at this prayer service to pray for Robert today, but he has to be in the hospital undergoing chemotherapy. And he's wearing his Jesuit rugby shirt that the team gifted him in his first round of chemo. And It's his goal that when he beats his cancer, he wants to go play rugby. And Robert inspired him to do that. And the message closed with this sentence that seared into my soul, and it just changed everything for me. And it said, "Stay strong and keep smiling, Robert. Your strength helps Talon stay strong too." I heard those words and I wept. I cried like a baby because I realized in that moment that overcoming this injury is not about me. It's about him. And it is about all those people who gain inspiration when I choose to fight another day. So here I am today. It has been 2,958 days since my injury. It's a long time, 8+ years. I'm very intentional about keeping track of those days and continuing to fight on all these days. But I'll tell you, it's not easy. Now, I can walk up to 500 yards now. And for the people who can see it on video, I'm talking like an Italian over here, moving my hands everywhere. The progress I've had is amazing. It's incredible. I do not do it so I can go from point A to point B on my feet. That's not what's kept me going these last 8 years and will keep me going for the rest of my life. It's a selfless commitment to others that I'll take what happened to me, which many people would think would be the worst thing that could ever happen to me, and I'll turn it into a gift. And it's a gift because I can share it with others. So that interaction I had with Talon, stemming then into this life's mission and helping other people overcome their challenges, it's so powerful that I wouldn't even wish this injury away. Handheld to God, I would not wish this injury away because it's just giving me that deep meaning and ability to serve others.
I'm not going to let you be so humble and pass it. So you just said you can walk 500 feet. Did
500 yards.
500 yards, so 5 football fields. Now you're still in the wheelchair majority of the time, but you're able to walk now. Somewhat.
That's right. That's right.
And you can use your arms. They told you you'd never be able to use your hands. You'd never be able to eat. You're doing all that because you took this hindsight, the thought, the prayer of faith to go, I'm not going to let this beat me. Am I hearing what?
You heard it completely right. And so much of it is like focusing on what I can control. And the only thing I could control throughout all of this was just my effort. You know, I can't control how my body progresses. The odds were horribly stacked against me. And when that first doctor told me I would never walk or move my hands again, he wasn't just a bad guy. That's what the statistics dramatically show. 99 times out of 100, he would have been right. So for me, it's been just this very intentional effort of I've got one life and I have a choice to make right now. Am I going to let this circumstance determine the rest of my life, or am I going to do something to fight out of this? And if I'm going to be in the top 1% of outcomes, I need to put in that top 1% of effort. So, I mean, I dedicated my entire life that first year to rehabilitation. I left school. I moved to Colorado. I was spending 8 or 9 hours a day in physical therapy, occupational therapy, just the whole gambit of work. And I continue to work on it to this day. And the physical accomplishments have just been amazing. I mean, it's literally a miracle. I had 3 separate neurologists look at my scan. All of them said that there's essentially no hope. This is just how it's going to be. There's just not enough pathways connected currently to be able to get back this level of recovery that I've had. So a lot of work, a lot of faith, a lot of support. I'm just a very blessed person.
It's the most powerful thing. Look at the miracle it gave you. And thank God that you kept him in the world for us so you can keep doing these type of things. We're coming to the end. All right, he's coming back for part 2, audience. And some of you are like, God, I got to hear more. We'll bring it back because I want to make sure you listen to all this. Talk about your book real quick, Paralyzed to Powerful, and where we can get it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled about this book. So it's everywhere books are sold. Most people go to Amazon. I did an audiobook as well that I recorded myself. So really excited to have like that personal touch there. But this shares my story of overcoming quadriplegia. So I expect a reader to learn a lot about me. But what I really want them to do is learn more about themselves. Each chapter is a tool that has helped me in overcoming this paralysis that we can all apply to those things that paralyze us on that mental, emotional level. So I have just loved seeing the messages come in from people about how they are learning more about themselves, how they're already applying these lessons to their lives. But yeah, book's Paralyzed to Powerful. I'm just so happy to have it out there now.
Thank you for mentioning the stories that you're getting, because that's the ROI of a servant's heart.
It is.
I get the same how I'm helping people. It's different. I don't want to compare, but that's the power of being a servant's heart.
Yeah.
You pull up that message and go, Callan's message. I'm in tears here, but now it's affected me. So you take that and you run with that. This audience is what a servant's heart looks like. We don't want you to go through a major injury like that. You don't have to be as powerful and inspiring as you are. Let's end with a fun question. That was intense in such a great way. And thank you for sharing me and being transparent. So I've got a reservation at a restaurant. You're up in Roseville near me. You're up near Sacramento. So pick a restaurant. You got a table of 4 I've reserved for you. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. And you're going to walk over to the chair. I'm going to make a note of that because you can walk now, which is so great. God bless. So you got 3 empty chairs. Who would you invite, whether they're dead or alive, to sit and stay with you for a couple hours? And what food would you order?
Oh my gosh. Okay, such a good question. So I'll start with the food first. So for me, I don't know why, but I love food that you eat with your hands. So like I love crawfish. I'm like obsessed, which is not like a California thing really. But whenever it's like my birthday or like a big accomplishment, I'm like, we are going to Crawdads on the Lake in Folsom, California, and everybody's gonna have to watch me just dive into this bucket of crawdads. So whoever's coming with me, I'm sorry. Bring your towelettes and do what you gotta do. Get ready to take a shower right when you get home. But we're diving down into some of that. So gosh, such a good question. So I would be remiss if I didn't invite Jesus to the table. I mean, he is my best friend, and he's helped me throughout this journey in ways that just were not supposed to happen. So he's got to come in there. He's bringing up the standard quite a bit. My goodness, other people. So there's I love Viktor Frankl and his book Man's Search for Meaning. For those of who aren't very familiar with Viktor, Holocaust survivor, literally Auschwitz. And it's amazing his perspectives that he's gleaned from there. I love those kind of like stoic type principles that he talks about. But he says this quote in there that you can take everything away from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. I have so much that I could learn from Viktor. I think he's incredible. He's amazing. Let me keep thinking here. Goodness. I got 2 more. Can I invite you, Steve? Can I have you in there?
It'd be an honor. Done.
That would be absolutely wonderful. Every opportunity that I get to see my rugby coach, Jack Clark, I really appreciate. He's been such a wonderful mentor to me. And, I do get to interact with him quite a lot every day. But, living over here in Sacramento, I don't get to go down to his Berkeley as much as I would like to. But he's the reason that I'm speaking today. He's the reason that I have this book out. And, I love seeing him. So I'd like to have my rugby coach there as well.
What a beautiful mentor. And you're the first Crawdad food decision of 400 shows. So you just broke a record there. Nobody's mentioned Crawdad, which I love. It's so great. So often, awesome. I was thinking like barbecue or something. That is way cool. And a great food to eat with your hands and talk and have food go everywhere, which is great.
It's fun.
Robert, I can't say enough words for what you've been through, what you overcome, and what you're doing. I know your future's bright. We're going to bring you back on the show. God bless you. I'm supporting you 1,000,000%. So reach out to me. I'm here to help any way I can. But I know people listening, and audience, by the way, if you have an event and looking for a speaker, if you haven't teared up listening to this or haven't thought about, I want people to hear this story, because I just told her I'm going to build my own event around him and some others that I know that are inspiring like this. Hire him. How can they find you?
Right on my website, robertpaylor.com. Such a good way to do it for speaking engagements. But just for following along the story, I post daily rehab videos of me just continuing to get after it. So I want to really feed people's mental diets through that regard. So that's Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, TikTok, everywhere that you are. Just look up Robert Paylor. There's not a lot of Paylors out there. So I kind of got a monopoly on the name Robert Paylor. Very easy to find, but try to keep in people's feeds and just keep that positive information going.
And I love the title, Paralyzed to Powerful. You're right. We're paralyzed all the time by things that happen in our life. Don't have to be in a wheelchair to do that.
Yeah.
I'm buying the book, audience, so I'm going to buy it once we get off, because this kind of inspiration does not hurt at all. It probably helps a lot more. So go ahead and do that. Robert, thank you again. And audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I know people do this and there's nothing wrong with it, but here's how I look at a subscription to a podcast. And it can be any, it doesn't have to be mine. But let's take Robert's story that he just presented to us on the podcast. And you're listening to somebody that's hurting, like Talon, might have stage 4 cancer, or lost their job, or their bride is divorcing, all that in life. Share the link to this podcast. Let them listen to Robert for 10 minutes. I guarantee you 99.9%, because 100% is tough to get to, that it's going to motivate them. How far they take it, that's always up to them. But use these links on my podcast and others to give them a gift, and a gift of impact and change. With that being said, me and Robert want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.